everyone, Julian here. Today, going to be showing you how to make EARGASM God style techno trance. Go along this video, you can grab the full project file, samples, MIDI, presets, everything from this video is available at the top of the description. Definitely grab that. There's a lot of awesome new techniques in this one that you really don't want to miss out. Links at the top of the description. Thanks for the support, guys, and let's dive in. Alright, so we're at 160 BPM, pretty fast, right? The first thing we have up here is our kick. So as you can probably tell, I synthesized this kick. This is made using operator. So what we're doing here is we've got a sine wave. So I'll actually just turn everything off. So we're starting with the sine wave, which has this nice, like, punchy, short, but still full envelope because we got the initial up. So you can just turn up that attack and you get more kind of body there. Then there's the second oscillator, which is doing FM. This is why operator is perfect for this, because basically you can use this and just make it a really short oscillator like that, and you'll get more click, as you can see. I've also got that up a few octaves, and then we have the pitch envelope. And that's the last part to really make it a kick. Now, the secret to actually synthesizing a kick like this is you're going to want to make sure it's a two-part envelope. You know, you can't just have the pitch envelope just be like, right, that doesn't sound as full as. So what you have to do is you have to set your initial up to 48 semitones all the way, and then bring down this attack and bring down the decay, and then you'll get that like two-part envelope. And that's really the key to synthesizing a kick, I've learned. Other than that, just doing a little subcut, turning it into mono, and then we have the bass. So for the actual MIDI on this, it's following the chord progression. The progression we're doing here is in the key of E major. So we're doing E major, G sharp minor, which is technically the major third, right? And then we're doing this D sharp minor, which is the major seventh. So it's actually a very, like, you know, you could also maybe do like this. I think you guys might recognize this one. Right, but yeah, so that's the progression we got. As far as the actual sound goes, so it's two layers, and these trance basses, I want to say this, is like they can seem simple, but there's actually a lot of science behind this. When I was going through these tracks, it's not just like a plucky saw wave, right? There's a lot that goes into getting this. So for the first layer, it's basically this punchy, like, kind of unison thing. So what we're doing is we're starting with this. We got two saw waves together, same octave, right? And then they're going through a low pass filter, which has a nice punchy envelope on it. Very short, you can see. That was one of the things I noticed. You want the envelope to be shorter than you probably think you would want it to be. We got a bit of unison, shimmer, and then we got chorus, because we want to spread this one out to be a bit wider. High pass. And then we're converting the bass to mono in case there's anything below like 250 hertz like that, so we don't have any weird phasing issues. And then for the main bass, so this is kind of like the main body of the sound, right? And the way this is being made is with analog. We're using two saw waves. One is an octave lower. And I think that's really important for getting like a fat bass. Even if I put them both in that same low octave. See, it's a lot fatter when you got those at two different octaves because it's just more full. We got a low pass with an envelope on it, very similar to the one on Wavetable. And then we're just converting the bass to mono, and that's really it. As far as the group goes, we're just doing a little subcut, and then we're actually converting this to mono. Alright, so we got that. We got the kick and bass hitting, and they're in mono, so that it'll be nice and punchy. Then we've got the main drums. Right, so the drums are not really that complicated. There is a little bit of layering going on. Like here, we've got this big 909 type of hi-hat. And then I layered it with a little operator hi-hat, actually, as you might not even notice. But the reason for that is because this is good for the body, but it doesn't have that, like, right at the start, right? So if you add this, which is just some white noise into a bandpass, then when you put those together, you get this super punchy 909. So it's a good way to kind of fill that in with a synth. We have a little like cabasa shaker that's being sidechained a little bit. Nice 909 clap. Big and full too with a lot of tail. This is not like a short punchy one. And that's really it for the drums, because I think what you want to keep in mind is like all this stuff down here plus the bass. This is taking up a lot of space in the mix, so you really don't want these to have to fight too much with that. That's why we're keeping them simple and punchy. But the first synth that we have here is this kind of like vocal chord. So this is following that same chord progression I showed you with the bass. E major, G sharp minor, D sharp minor. And what we're doing here is we're taking the thirds, these like what would be the middle notes in like a basic triad like this, and putting them up an octave. So then you get, you can kind of hear it, like it gives you a bit more brightness. If I put that back down, you know, the notes are closer together, so you can't hear the space between them. This way, there's so much space between each of these notes, you can really hear each one. So for the sound on that, I'll turn off all the effects and just show you what it sounds like to start with. So it's this vocal rack for Ableton. I actually grabbed this from over here. They have it. I'm pretty sure it's in like Voice Box. It's one of these packs, right? So we got that just right in Ableton, this beautiful thing that you can play really cool chords with. Then we're doing a trance gate. And so the way I'm doing the trance gate is actually using like side chaining to a gate inside of Ableton, which is a really great way to do it because you can then go and literally make a MIDI pattern with the trance gate pattern that you want. So the way we're doing this is you just sidechain to, you just have to pick something that you're going to make as like the sidechain pattern, right? In this case, I use the 909 hi-hat. Like you see, that's the pattern right there. And then you just have that muted, right? Because you don't want to hear that. But then if you do go in here and gate, sidechain and gate this. There you go. Important tip. You want to turn down the return, because if you listen, that's what's going to give you that tight, punchy kind of, and the release too. Because see, the more you turn that up, the more you kind of lose it. Then we have some delay. Ping pong too, so we get a little bit of width. Sidechain to, right? And then just a high pass filter. And this sounds really important when I was studying these tracks. It's obviously you hear the supersaw, and that's a big part of it, but it's actually like a really good study in mixing together like an insane supersaw like that with something more deep like this, and how they just fit together and create this great, beautiful pad. Right, and you're still hearing this voice just fine, like there's no problem, even in the full mix. It's very present, and it's all about the way we're setting this up. This is why like we don't want all those drums that are going to fight with this type of stuff, right? But then we have the supersaw. Now, to get this supersaw, I had to do a little bit of science. I'm going to actually turn all the group processing off. There's not too much. But as you can see, it's not just one layer. A lot of times for these chords, you guys have seen me do just like one layer and kind of call it a day. But when I was studying these tracks, I really think to get that big, huge kind of sound that you hear, you need to learn how to layer these. And there's a certain way of doing it. And the way you're going to do it is it's basically kind of like picking one to be sort of like your main one. Right, so that's what this is. This is just like two saw waves in one is 2 octaves up actually. So you can hear that. It gives it a lot of bright end, or a lot of high end, and then we're giving it some unison. And so you're going to have that layer and make that really solid, and then you're going to have one, which is kind of like your high notes. Like as you can see these chords, right, we're doing the thing where it's root note, 5th, 3rd. So on this one, I just got rid of the root note and just have the 5th and the 3rd. And you see, that's going to give us our nice, bright high end. We got a saw wave, and then then a square wave 2 octaves up. High pass filter inside of the synth, right? Because you really don't want any of that low end. and then noise unison. And then when you layer those, so it's going to fill out the highs, and then you also are going to have a lower layer. Now, what this is actually doing, it looks like 3 notes. It's not the same 3 notes as this one, though. This is playing this root note, 5th, and 3rd. This one is doing a 5th, a root note, and then another 5th, actually. So that really kind of like fills out those lows, right? And then this is just saw wave, another saw wave 2 octaves up, and then the position sync unison. So you see, putting all these together, you really have to, because if you just use that first one, you know, it's not quite getting that like insane sound. Now, as far as group processing goes, there's a little more to do. So then we've got this EQ8, which is boosting the highs. Right, you can hear that brings that out a lot. We're doing the sidechain gate to the hi-hat. So there you go, you got your trance gate. We're sidechaining this to that kick up there. And then a high pass filter at the end. And that's part of making it fit with this little voice too. Like, see, as soon as you let that super saw start taking up some of the space where the vocal is, you have a problem, right? And now for the last layer, which is actually kind of like a really great technique I heard from hearing his tracks. So basically what's happening is you've got this whole thing going without this little vocal here, right? You got the super saw, you got the vocal pad, and it's sounding nice. But you almost want like a melody, right? And there's a lot of ways you could take a synth, right? And you could draw in a melody, whatever. But another really cool way of doing it is getting an actual vocal sample and just kind of chopping it a little bit. Right? And it's pitched to be in key with this and all that, right? And then you can actually just put like a lot of reverb on it, like it's very wet. Right? You can hear that that is just like a super... So it kind of adds something to the sound and gives a little bit of body. And then we're actually doing the same trance gate on that vocal. Which is going to create this beautiful thing when it fits together with the other elements that are all going through the trance gate as well. Like, it's all kind of like perfectly fitting together in this way that you may not even really notice right away when you hear the track. But that's how you would actually go about doing that. It's just they all have that same trance gate that's going to be really tight and punchy and going to create a really great rhythm when combined with that melody that the vocal's doing. And yeah, so that's gonna be it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed. As always, make sure to like this video as well as subscribe, and let me know what you think of this video in the comments. Like I said in the beginning, you can get this entire template, the full samples, MIDI, presets, and the project files available at the top of the description on my website. Don't miss out. Really great way to help support me, guys. Don't make a whole lot off of YouTube, but with these templates and stuff, I'm able to keep going, keep bringing you guys new videos, and showing you crazy new techniques like this every single day. Thank you for the support, everybody, and I'll see you tomorrow with another video.